Hey guys, it's Intuitive 144. I'm a little chilly. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little cold. It's so cold in here. Anyways, I'm a psychic medium along with being a physical medium. I say physical medium because I'm able to channel now. It's like every 6 months, it's a new thing with my gift, right? But I'm able to channel how someone passed away. I can just feel things. So I say physically in that aspect, right? I'm going to be doing Trayvon Martin. I'm going to be channeling, not really channeling him. Maybe I shouldn't say channeling him, but I'm going to be explaining everything. But first, $144 for an hour and $72 for a 30-minute reading. I am going to be offering, actually, no, I am going to say this. I'm offering a $60 special, $60 for an hour session until the end of February. Then after February, I am not doing any more sales. I'm sorry. But thank you to the ones that have supported me. So let's begin with Trayvon Martin. All right. So I want you guys to just be open-minded with what I'm about to say, right? So let's begin. So I lay down, I meditated on his energy, and it took me some time to see visions as I'm meditating on him, right? And this is what I received. So Spirit said he volunteered. So I wrote, Trayvon volunteered his physical 3D human body in order for the world to view racism in a more exposed setting. So for example, when I talk about racism all the time, right, with my friends. And I had this one friend where I, told her how, white people used to throw Negro babies into the mouths of gators as entertainment and as punishment. And she did not believe it. And, it's like, imagine 300 years later, like maybe, obviously I'm not even going to be remembered. Maybe Trayvon Martin won't be remembered, but maybe 300 years from now, stories like Trayvon Martin, Emmett Till will sound so far-fetched, but it's really not far-fetched because it actually happened, right? And so it feels like energetically from what Spirit told me, he volunteered to, I hate to say die, but he volunteered his physical human body to experience that situation that he experienced, so that the world can have a more exposed view on racism. Because we always knew it exists, right? But to have something so up and close and personal and just like something where it's everywhere, it's kind of not hard to escape, but you can't really, do you guys get what I'm saying? Okay, good, because I don't feel like really, well, if you don't get it, oh well. But it's the same thing with Emmett Till. As I was meditating on Trayvon, Emmett Till popped up, and so he volunteered for his physical body. Heavy emphasis on physical body, to go through that, all right? It's lessons in everything, and lessons can be bad or good, but bad and good is subjective, right? Now, same thing with Henrietta Lacks. They show me a vision of Henrietta Lacks. She volunteered for her body to be studied by science. I'm sorry. Science, okay? She volunteered for her body to be studied by scientists, right? Now, I want to say this is going to sound so non-human, and I've noticed there's been a shift in the way that I read, because I'm so scared to like say non-human things, because I guess I already look mentally ill, with what I do, talking to spirits, blah blah blah. But look, so how can I explain this? Before we're physically human, right? Or at least what it's been told to me, so before we're like we choose our bodies, we choose the lessons that we want to go through or have to go through, and it's to help us. All right, okay, back to Trayvon, because it's okay. Like, it's okay. They just said I'm doubting myself, but anyways, it's okay. So back to Trayvon Martin. So let's begin. Even though I already began, but anyways. Spirit showed me a vision of him bouncing a basketball right next to me. So I'm laying down, and in this vision, it felt like a hot summer day, but he's still wearing the same clothes that he was murdered in, and he's bouncing his basketball, right next to me. And I'm kind of annoyed because I'm like, dude, it's 98 degrees. I don't want to hear the bouncing of this basketball. Can you please stop? But I didn't say anything, right? And as he's bouncing this basketball, he carries sadness. Like I wasn't able to physically look at his face. Like I wasn't able to move my head, my neck, and my face, whatever, in the vision. But I could feel that he was carrying sadness. Okay, and it just in the vision, it felt like he was extremely worried for his mom. All right. Then before I could even ask him why he was sad, he pointed to his mother's thyroid, her pancreas, and her gallbladder. And it feels like it felt like right now, it feels like she's having issues with those three organs. Is it an organ? Yeah, organs, right? It just feels like she's having health issues, a lot of health issues, and he wants her to get checked out more often. And also, it feels like she needs to get a second opinion with something, okay? So she needs to go to another doctor. Anyways, transitioning out of that message and that vision, I hear his voice say, I gave up my life for racism. And so I want to say energetically, from what I sense, how can I say this? He decided his soul decided to be Trayvon Martin in order for us to view racism so I wrote, he was put here to offer an abstract view of racism. And Spirit is saying his death was necessary. It was necessary for Rosa Parks to say no. It was necessary for Nat Turner to get that get back. It was just necessary, and I'm trying to be very sensitive because you guys may be like, the fuck you mean it was necessary for him to get shot? Just like on a spiritual level is necessary. Like, it's just, if you get it, you get it. If you don't, hey. But now, in the vision, Trayvon takes me through this portal, right? And so it's like a iridescent slash purple, but it's a purple that doesn't exist on Earth, okay? And this portal is spiraling, and he's like coming to this portal. And I'm like, what portal is that? Because just from what my spiritual teacher told me, like, spirits can be deceptive. Sometimes they can portray, like it's just a whole shebang with them, right? If you know, you know. So I question everything. I've been taught to question everything, right? And so I'm like, what is this portal? And he says, this is the portal of truth. But he's not speaking. This is all through telepathy. Okay? And so he says, come, this is the portal of truth. So I'm going through this portal, and as I walk in this portal, I come out, and it's a house, an iridescent house, right? And so Trayvon, it looks like we're in Georgia or Virginia or somewhere because there's a lot of grass. It doesn't look like New York City or a city, like a suburban area. And I just seen a spirit walk by. So Trayvon takes me to this iridescent house, which I'm assuming is like a house in heaven, or I don't know exactly, or maybe he was using this fake house to prove something to me, right? And so he welcomes me into his home, and he tells me how he's watching this movie called Selena, and Jennifer Lopez stars in it, right? And he was telling me that he wanted to watch this movie with me. And so keep in mind, he's not verbally speaking. This is all through telepathy, right? And as we're watching the movie Selena, so the movie starts from the beginning, and he's skipping the movie to towards the end where Yolanda, I think her name is Yolanda Yvonne, Yolanda and Selena get into an argument regarding money. So he's skipping towards the end where pretty much Selena is about to lose her life. And so he's skipping towards the end when, Yolanda and Selena get into an argument regarding money. And then as I turn to him, because as I'm turning to him, I'm like, why? I'm getting ready to ask him, like, why are you skipping it? And why are you going to the crime scene, in the movie, right? Where the death scene. And as I turn to him, his face morphs into his crime scene. And so here's what I strongly sense happened. I do want to say I didn't watch the trial when he passed. I think I was 11. I know that he was murdered by George Zimmerman, but as far as the details, still to this day, I don't know. Stuff like that makes me very sensitive, but I think I'm ready to talk about it. And so if you guys are in the comments sorry, somebody called me. If you guys are in the comments saying like, girl, we already know this information, I didn't, okay? Here's what I received, okay? So as I turned to him, getting ready to ask him, like, why are you skipping the movie? His face morphs into his own crime scene. And here's what I strongly sense happened. So they allowed me to feel like I was next to Trayvon as he left the store. All right, but he couldn't see me. So think of it like a spirit guide following you. Like I could see him, but he couldn't see me, right? And he's walking with his hoodie over his head, and it sounds like he's humming something, okay? Or he's talking out loud, or he's rapping. Now, he isn't quiet, but he isn't loud, okay? So let's say I was across the street and he was on the other side of the street. I could hear that he was rapping or singing, but I wouldn't be able to make out the words that he was saying, just loud enough to hear him, right? Then Spirit showed me a vision of Trayvon walking by, and George Zimmerman is in the car, and he's like eyeing him. And then they allow me to see that there are thought bubbles over George Zimmerman's head, and there are question marks, right? Okay. They're speaking in my ear, okay? So there are just question marks over his head. So this lets me know that it felt like he was confused or curious, right? And so then in the vision of George Zimmerman in the car, George is eyeing Trayvon down, okay? And he's raising curiosity because in George's perspective, from what I was allowed to see and feel, George felt like Trayvon wasn't supposed to be there, all right? And George also didn't like that he was rapping out loud or singing out loud. It felt like it's just something with Trayvon rapping or singing or humming something, right? Also, once again, I haven't watched the trial, so I don't know if George confessed to this or not. But anyways, they are allowing me to see and feel that George was in a vehicle as he rolls down his window and he asks Trayvon, he's like, yo, hey, what are you doing here? And Trayvon turns to him very confused. And in the vision, I wasn't able to hear, but it looked and felt and kind of sounded like, oh, I'm getting nervous. Like Trayvon told George to fuck off. Like fuck you talking to me for, like, something like that, right? Or something with like mind his business. And then, Trayvon could have looked at him and ignored him, but it was dialogue, okay? But I don't feel like George liked this, right? And so Trayvon continues to walk. Whew. But I do want to say, whether Trayvon told him, yo, mind your business, or he cursed him out, or he ignored him, it triggered George, okay? And it feels like in the vision, George kept antagonizing him, okay? And so I strongly feel like Trayvon was followed by George, okay? Now, then in the vision switched to George now being face to face in front of Trayvon. So I don't know what transpired before them being face to face. Spirit just skipped to the next vision. And I'm getting so nervous. Oh my God. And then as George is now face to face in front of him, he asks Trayvon again, what are you doing here? I said, what are you doing here? All right. Very aggressive, kind of like trying to little boy Trayvon. Then I hear Trayvon say something, but his words weren't clear, okay? But it sounded like he told him to fuck off again, okay? Then they start getting, like, you can just tell from like the body movement, especially on George, and that they were getting ready to fight. And I seen that George hit him first, okay? Then in the vision, I'm now back in Trayvon's house. So remember, we're watching Selena, right? So I just want to say George and Trayvon oh my God, are fighting, right? Girl, I just haven't been able to speak correctly, girl. I don't know what's going on. Did somebody put something on me, girl? What's going on? But no, George and Trayvon are, Trayvon Martin are, fighting. And then before I wasn't able to see more into that, and spirit kind of like pushed me out of that vision and pushed me back into me being in Trayvon's house. Okay. And so keep in mind, so now we're watching the scene where Selena has been shot to death. And he turns to me and he says, and I just want to stop before I continue. I think what Spirit is trying to say, they're using the movie Selena as a way to let me know that there was an argument prior to Trayvon getting murdered. Now, I don't know if George confessed to them arguing, or I don't know like what his story is. But I think that's why Trayvon was showing me the death scene in the movie Selena. All right, now let me read this again. Then in the vision, I'm now back in Trayvon's house, and we're watching the scene where Selena is shot to death. And then he turns to me and he says, "It was an act of self-defense, you know." And so I feel as though that he means he was hit first, and he fought back as he should, right? And in the vision, it was funny because as he's saying it was an act of self-defense, I see him drinking an Arizona bottle. And it's not funny like in a comedic way, how you say comedic way? But it's more so of like if he would be the type to kind of make a joke about his own death, like when my friend's friend got shot, like after she healed from it because she was shot by her own boyfriend. I guess she used humor as a way to whatever, but it was just interesting. Okay. Now then I asked him, how do you feel about how you died? And then I heard nevertheless. I don't know what he means by that. I looked up the definition. It didn't make sense to what he said, but yeah. Then he tells me he's worried for his mom's heart and that her heart could be flowing better, pumping better. And then I asked him again, I said, how do you feel about your death? Like how do you feel about your death? Then I heard him say, I was cold, then I slipped out of my body, and it all happened fast. Now, I want to say there's something very smug about his energy. And even in his facial expressions, he wasn't happy. He wasn't smiling. He wasn't sad. It was just like kind of smug. All right. And so I want to read my sentence. There's something very smug about his energy, even in the afterlife. I don't want to say he's at peace with his death, but I don't want to say he's not at peace with his death. It just feels like there is an important lie that is still being protected, covered, missing. It's like the missing recipe, missing ingredient. For example, have you ever had a friend or a boyfriend or someone tell you a story, then later on they tell you a piece of information that they forgot and they, left out, and then you're like, yo, like you leaving out that tiny little bit of, information like changes. Now that I know this tiny information, it changes the flow of everything. Like, do you guys get what I'm saying? And so, with this important piece, this important lie, it makes the story. It could add value or take away value from a situation, but for Trayvon, it felt like this lie would have made or break I don't know, like made or break the situation. But it just feels like there's something important, right? That's missing to his story. Say that again. Yeah, I just heard live a lie. So are you saying that they've been living? Yes, they've been living a lie. All right, they've been living a lie. Then I asked him, well, what is this lie? What is this important detail? I'm very nosy. I be asking all the questions. I'm like, what is this lie? And I hear him say, only the detectives know. Then I hear him say, history will remain the same until the same changes. Then, in the vision, back to the vision of him showing me, at the end of the movie where Selena dies. Well, she's murdered, right? Shot to death, right? I get up, I get up off the couch. I stand up and I look at him and I'm like shaking off, like the crumbs on my shirt because I was, having popcorn, right? And as I'm looking at him, he's not looking at me. And it's just like kind of like downer energy to him. It feels like his spirit, his soul is not happy, so I asked him, I'm like, if you gave up your life for racism to be highlighted, to be exposed, if you gave up your life, so people can have more of, like a zoom in on what actually happens to us, why do you seem so sad if this is something that that you agree to? Then I hear him kind of mumble, my mother's health isn't the best and I'm worried for her. Okay. Then in the vision, he gets up, he looks at me, and he just has sad eyes. And before he leaves the house, this is what he says. George Zimmerman was never scared of me. George Zimmerman is a schizophrenic that has an obsession of killing animals for sport. He also was under the influence and he just wanted a reason to kill me that day. That's what he said. And then he left the house. So I want to say thank you guys so much for listening to this. I appreciate you guys more than you know. You guys are changing my life every day. I am offering, what did I say, $60 for the rest of February. And after that, no more sales because, yeah. Wow. He said, George Zimmerman was never, Zimmerman, fuck that nigga, fuck him. Give a fuck about his name, fuck, screw the nigga's name out and go fuck. George Zimmerman was never scared of me. George Zimmerman is a schizophrenic that has an obsession of killing animals for sport. He was also under the influence and he just wanted a reason to kill me that day. Let me tell you something. I've been in situations where, like even middle school, high school, where, have you ever met somebody that just want to argue? Like they looking for a reason to fight. Like, and I guess that's what he was trying to get at. And for, him to talk about like how he liked to kill animals for sport, that kind of concerns me. Like, yes, I eat turkey, I eat chicken, I eat shrimp, and in a way, like I'm no victim because I'm eating animals. But to killing a raccoon for fun, like that's like you're a little yoo-hoo. The fuck. With Barron Trump, Donald Trump's son, he kills animals, like allegedly, and it's something a little yoo-hoo. Jeffrey Dahmer. Let's talk about it. Jeffrey Dahmer killing fucking squirrels for fun. Yoo-hoo, loo-hoo, gookie, not really, But that's what I received. I want to say thank you guys so much. My price is $144 for an hour. $72 for a 30-minute reading. But I am having a $60 hour special until the end of February. So if you want to take advantage of that, please absolutely do so. Thank you guys so much. I am out of here. Thank you.